Good morning, everyone. Today I believe, Lycoming County, somewhere in Hepburn Township. So I saw a historical marker for the Boiling Grove Dunkard Meeting House. So, having no idea what that is, I thought I would just follow the signs and head over and check it out. So I believe there's an old log cabin or like an old meeting house here. And I'm hoping there's some storyboards. So sort of like just a roadside find. Just wanted to see what we see. It's a beautiful spring Saturday morning. And I have to say, this truly is a beautiful area of Pennsylvania. And I believe there's an old cemetery here. Very peaceful part of Pennsylvania for sure. So we are approaching a cemetery. But I can see the old log cabin down there. I guess what was the meeting house at one time. So we're gonna head down there and see what we see. So something I never really did until I started this YouTube channel, I would never just like pull over somewhere and just like walk around and check something out. And I gotta tell you, there's so many cool things I've seen since I've started this channel. And not necessarily, you know, the videos that I made a decision to head out somewhere, because there definitely are videos where I do that. But every now and then I will just pull over somewhere, take a walk, and see what I see. So I'm not really sure where the park ends and where private property begins. You might see there is a house over there. Beautiful home. Could you imagine living out here? I mean, right? So peaceful. But I'm being drawn to this tree. Not sure what type of tree that is. Maybe an oak, but looks like it was recently trimmed, but it looks like it's got some years behind it. You know, I've been told there's apps you can get on your phone and you can just point it at a tree and it'll tell you what type of tree it is. So I'm seriously thinking about downloading that app for trees, flowers, maybe even birds. I don't know. But it might be a good idea because it would be kind of nice to be able to identify some of the things I'm looking at. Another beautiful tree right here. Almost has like a mushroom effect to it, and it looks as if there might be some older headstones like right underneath that tree. But I know in one of my recent videos, I think it was Lock 19, and I came upon some beautiful flowers and I said, oh wow, I think they're lilies. And they were tulips, and to be honest with you, I know they're tulips. It was just kind of like a little bit of a brain freeze, but it would be kind of cool to be able to identify some of these things. So I could either maybe download that app if it does exist, or do a little more research before I post the video and just kind of put comments at the bottom of the screen. So some field stones here that you really can't read, so these have probably been here. A long time, but I cannot read that one. this one, it looks like it says Annie S. Very sad, aged 5 weeks. God, so many sad stories when you look at these old cemeteries. Haven't found a date on these yet. So this one I can see, looks like born in 1841, died in 1893, Catherine. And then we have Christian right next to Catherine. 1828 to 1907. So I'm not going to read every headstone here, but I do kind of like walking around old cemeteries and seeing some of the, especially the older headstones. Not sure what happened here, but this one, I don't know, what would cause it to break like that? I guess just time, right? 1839 to 1899. The stone looks like it's in really good shape. Almost as if somebody cleaned it and then got knocked over. Whenever you're in a really old cemetery, sometimes you see, I guess these are just like field stones, so they're probably really old markers, or quite possibly maybe people that didn't have the funds or the money available for a nice headstone, which is kind of sad. Yeah, these all appear to be 1800s. I don't believe there's anything from the 1700s here, so we probably won't see any Revolutionary War vets, maybe some Civil War vets. So just making my way down to the old log cabin down here, which was the Boiling Grove Dunkard Meeting House. I believe they are the folks that settled this area. Dunkards, I believe, well, I know it's some type of Christian denomination. I don't want to guess. I kind of think it might be sort of like a Baptist. I'm definitely not a religious historian, so I'm really not sure. But I believe they were named Dunkards because they would dunk. The name Dunkard comes from dunking. I guess they would, when you were baptized, you would be dunked. In a river, I guess. Wow, this one looks really old. Sadly, I cannot read anything on it. It's got, like, I guess you would call these lichens, right? Kind of growing on it. Maybe it's just an old fieldstone. Maybe there never was any markings on it, because it's really hard to see. All right, so here's one born in 1794 and died in 1883, Elizabeth Chafer. Elizabeth Chafer, looks like wife of, having trouble reading that name, Cedric, maybe? Well, there you go. There's Frederick. So Elizabeth, wife of Frederick Schaefer. And here's Fredericks, which is very hard to read, but died, born. It's really tough to read the years, but I guess it doesn't matter. We don't necessarily need to know. Born 1777 to 1858. Salome Schaefer, looks like. So this cemetery definitely has a mix. We've got a lot of old headstones. Another one from born in 1777. And then there are more modern ones. So I'm guessing maybe, I was going to say maybe this church is still in operation, but I don't believe so. I believe this is the Boiling Springs Historical Society. So there's a little museum in here that you can visit. And I would go in, but it's Saturday morning and it's actually closed right now. So I don't know if it's going to be opening today. I don't think we're going to be able to go in. But I definitely just wanted to check out this meeting house. Beautiful picture. Right there. Every now and then I just have to stop, take in the view. So these look like really old headstones, and they're right by the meeting house. So look, this one's huge. So who knows? Maybe this was one of the priests or pastors or ministers. Just don't know, but this is a huge headstone. Probably about 4 foot high. Let's see if we can read this. This looks like kind of like a rose here. And you know what? I'm gonna run my camera over it because quite often I can't read it, but when I download the video, I can read it. I'm not sure why that is. But I'm gonna guess this was probably somebody important as far as the meeting house goes. And you know, as I say that, every life is important. Everybody's important. Yes, I'm getting philosophical again. I'm not big on, I don't know, like status. People are people. Every life is worth celebrating. So there it is. Let's see if we can find out when this thing was built. All right, so I just quickly looked it up. It was built in 1828 by German colonists who came to this valley beginning in 1805. What do you think, people? Original shutter doors? I suppose, right? I guess if it was maintained and painted, it doesn't look like this was ever, and I will have to do a little history on it, but it doesn't look like it was let go or ever in disarray and then refurbished. So I guess if you were to keep it up, those shutter doors would last. Shutter doors, shutter windows, I guess. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get a look inside, which kind of stinks. So we have an old plaque here, which is going to give us a little information. Blooming Grove Dunkard Meeting House. I think I was saying Boiling Grove or Boiling Springs, so it's Blooming Grove. Dunkard Meeting House, built in 1828, which we just mentioned that, by German colonists who came to this valley beginning in 1805, seeking religious freedom, led by Dr. Frederick Haller. and including the following families: Heim, Keiss, Beal, Scheel, Burkhardt. Okay, you know what? You can pause and read. Most of them look like German names, but I am noticing Young, that doesn't look German. Gross, I would think, is not a German name, but I could be wrong. Marked by the Pennsylvania Historical Commission in 1930. So there you have it. Pretty cool. I'm guessing these steps are not original, but I could be wrong. If you know anything about this place, please let us know. Obviously this is locked, but just interesting seeing this old construction, how they built these places back in 1828. This has probably been, what am I trying to say, like fixed or repaired, but initially I think they used to just use clay, sand, and dirt, and I think they call this chinking. The more videos I do, the more I learn some of the terminology. And if you're into history, exploring, nature, I definitely encourage you to just get in your car, look for a historical sign, Google some things in your area, and just head out and check it out. Because you learn a lot, you see a lot. Quite often, you have some unexpected surprises as well. I'm liking this place. Dog barking at me, but I'm just going to scan across the street a little bit. You can see the beautiful mountains, nice barn, somebody's house. I mean, this would be a beautiful place to live, and it's really off the beaten path. I mean, if I didn't see that historical marker, I think I was on Route 463, and I think that's where I saw it, and I would never know this place existed. There's really no reason to come here unless you know somebody that lives out here. But it's a nice slice of Pennsylvania, right? So I was just reading a little bit more about the Dunkards, and they initially came from Germany in 1804 to the Germantown section, which is now part of Philadelphia. I'm not sure if Germantown was Philadelphia back then or not. By the way, Germantown is a very historical area of Philadelphia. I definitely intend to do some videos there. In fact, my mom grew up in Germantown. But so they landed in Philadelphia from Germany. They were escaping religious persecution, and they bought this little chunk of land. Now I say little chunk of land, I'm sure they bought more than this. They probably bought a whole valley. I'll have to look into that. Try to find out how many acres they bought. But they bought it unseen. They just bought a chunk of land unseen, and that's what I find so interesting about history. It was just such a different world. I mean, especially here in the United States, there was just so much land. Now this is the Historical Society, so I'm not sure how old this place is. It doesn't look all that old, but I'm guessing they built it here on purpose, right next to the old meeting house. Yes, the Blooming Grove Historical Society. Meeting house, museum, and cemetery. We've got some beautiful spring flowers, which I am not going to call lilies or tulips because I don't know what they are. Violets? I really do need to get that app on my phone. So unfortunately we're not going to get inside, but I was just reading a little bit about it. So it is just one room. That's pretty obvious just by looking at it. There are benches or pews, but they don't have backs on them. So they're just flat benches, which I could see would get pretty uncomfortable, but maybe that's part of the whole. Like, I know I grew up Catholic, so you had to kneel, and you had to kneel for long periods of time. And I hated it, but I guess that's part of the, I don't know, the suffering or the sacrifice. So it's just flat benches in there. But for those of you that like to know a little bit about the construction, it is hewn logs with daubed chink construction and half dovetail corner notching. So I'm not exactly sure what that means, but kind of cool how they created the corners, right? They kind of lock in place. Dovetail, I guess that you could see that as a dovetail. I know nothing about construction, but I'm learning. Also, again, we can't look inside, but from reading, there is no altar or pulpit in there. So, not sure why. I really don't know much about the Dunkards, but very interesting. I am glad that I came by and checked this out. So with that, I'm going to end my video. Thank you so much for joining me. If you could give it a like, that actually really helps the channel. And if you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you so much. You have a great weekend. Take care, everybody.